It was not immediately after the first Qassam that hits the rock that we started Operation Cast Lead. It took place 8 years later. Now, why did we wait for 8 years? The simple answer is because we tried all kinds of other methods for solving that problem. And both military methods and political methods, the Tahadiyya and other methods, and they all failed. So when they all failed and you are left with just one method to use force, to use military force. Within Israel there is a question posed frequently, namely, is the IDF the most moral force on earth? There are three different questions that should be raised. One is the fundamentals, the moral fundamentals, the basic values on which the military force acts. Usually military forces have codes of ethics that put forward certain values as the values of those military forces, and you can compare those sets of values. So if you look at the values of the IDF, there is no code of ethics which is better than the code of ethics of the IDF, and there are people in the West who say that our code of ethics is the best. The second ingredient, the fundamental ingredient, is international law. ICRC conventions, The Hague, Geneva, protocols and others that are all on grounds of the principles of just war doctrine. International law was devised for classical wars. If you think about distinction, I mean, they were meant to guide the military forces of states where all the troops bear uniforms. They all carry their guns openly. They all act in an organization that looks like a military force with commanders and hierarchy and regulations, and they all under the government of a civil government of a certain state. Now, what we face is something else. The distinction between combatants and non-combatants, that's gone. So what we need is a scale of involvement in terroristic activity. We replace the distinction by a scale of involvement. And there are people who are directly involved, there are people who are indirectly involved, and people who are not involved at all. People who are not involved at all or indirectly involved are never going to be the targets in a targeted killing operation. Only people who are directly involved. And even they, only if there is an imminent danger. We resorted to methods of warning that had never been used under such circumstances. We distributed millions of leaflets. We made more than 150,000 phone calls. Phone calls. Just imagine the intelligence project that requires getting the phone numbers and knowing that that's the phone number of a certain family on the second floor of the third house in the 4th street. Okay, we have to know how to do it. Now we took all the trouble of creating the possibility of warning them by phone calls. If you compare the IDF to adequate moral standards on the level of values, on the level of doctrines, they are second to none.